So there are different data types that are available on Python. And of course, in any programming language, understanding data types is very, very important. So I just put this on a new slide. All right. Now, variables can be used to store data of different types, and obviously, different data types can do different things. Now, these are the Python data types that are built in by default. The categories are text, numeric, sequence mapping, set, boolean, and binary. And all the different data types have been mentioned here. Now, I will not cover it right now. As we do more examples in all our lectures, we will be introducing all these different data types as and when required. So coming back to Jupyter, if you want to find the data type, so if I say that x is equal to 5 and you want to know what data type has been assigned to x, you can simply write print type and x, and it will tell you that the data type is a class which is integer. So I just take a few more examples. So if we write that x is equal to hello world, and then in fact, I can just use it in the previous one. So let me just copy this and put it here. This time you notice that the class comes as a string value, right? So like I said earlier, I will not take you through all of these things right now. We will do is as and when the examples require me to cover all the different data types. Let's focus more on the numbers that we are working with, because that is what you'll be doing most of the time. Now, there are three different numeric types. So there are three different numeric types in Python. So we have an integer, which is int. We have a float, and then finally, we have a complex number. For example, if I say that x is equal to 1, this is obviously an integer. If we say that y is equal to 8.2, then this is a float, which means that it has a decimal point. And also, if I say that z is equal to something like 1j, then this is a complex number. Complex numbers are not really something that we require, so we can ignore this for now. Now, do remember that integers can be of an unlimited length. So, integers can be unlimited length. For example, if I say that x is equal to 1 and I say that y is equal to like a very large number, and also we say that z is equal to a negative large number, and if we then print the type of x, and let me copy this two more times, you notice that all the three x, y, and z come as an integer. Similarly, when you're working with a float, a 1.10 will be a float, 1.0 will be a float, and then a negative number with a decimal place will also be a float, like this. So if we look at the type, you notice the type comes as float for all the three. Complex numbers are not really important for us, so we can ignore that for now. Now we can also convert the data type from one type to the other. So let me say that x is equal to 1, which is an integer, and then we have y is equal to 2.8, which is a float. Now, if I want to convert the value in x to a float, let's assign it, let's say, to a variable called a. We can simply say a is equal to float x, and what happens now is that it has been converted from an integer to a float. Similarly, if I say that b is equal to int y, then the float from y has been converted into an integer. So if I look at the print type of a and I look at the print type of b, you will notice that a and b are coming as a float and an integer, even though we had given the data type as an integer and then a float. Now, sometimes you might need to find a random number. Now, Python does not have a random function to create a random number, but it does have a built-in module called random that can be used to generate random numbers. For this, we want to import a module, which is the random module. So I'll click on import, I'll select import random, and then we say print random dot rand range, which would be random range, and let's say between 1 and 100. So you notice that every time we run this, we get a different number between 1 and 100. In the next lecture, we will look at Python casting and we will also look at Python strings.